Hello, this is Kim with Standing on Solid Ground. I am your host of this motivational and inspirational podcast. And today I want to talk about the things we have to work for in order to see the promise that God has made to us. There are times in the Bible that I have noticed that God had made a promise that He was going to do something, yet there had to be some work done before it was accomplished. In Joshua 18, I'm starting at verse 1, and the whole congregation of the children of Israel assembled themselves together at Shiloh and set up the tabernacle of the congregation there, and the land was subdued before them. And there remained among the children of Israel 7 tribes, which had not yet received their inheritance. And Joshua said unto the children of Israel, How long are ye slack to go to possess the land which the Lord God of your fathers hath given you? Give out from among you 3 men for each tribe, and I will send them. And they shall rise and go through the land and describe it according to the inheritance of them. And they shall come again to me, and they shall divide it into 7 parts. Judah shall abide in their coast on the south, and the house of Joseph shall abide in their coast on the north. If we look at the thing, Joshua is asking him, okay, God has promised you this land. What's the problem? Why haven't you gone and claimed the land that God had promised to you? Now, many times, God will make a promise, but we have to do our part. If we think about Jesus when he said, All ye that are laden and heavy burden, or it's other way, or burden and heavy laden, that ye may find rest, and take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for my yoke is easy and my burdens are light. Well, first, there is an instruction there. Come. It's an action verb. We have to go to Christ. If we are heavy laden and burdened, or heavy burdened and laden, either way they go, we need to go to Christ, that we may find rest. But we have to do something in order to get what we were promised. In today's time, my dad used to call us the microwave kids. We wanted it right now. Now, I don't know what he would call the kids of today. If we were the microwave kids when we were growing up, I don't know what he would call us today. Probably Buzz Lightyear type of movement, so to speak, because we want it immediately, like now, like instantly. And so when I sat back and I thought about it, I said, Lord, I have been asking you for this and I have been asking you for that, thinking that I needed to wait on you to make it happen. And when I thought about it, I said, but you know what? The children of Israel had to work in order to get what you had promised them. You promised that land to them through Abraham, Isaac, and through Jacob. You promised that these children will have this land that was promised to them. You told them for the walls of Jericho, you had to march around them 1 time for 6 days, and 7 times on the 7th day, yell and blow your horns, and the wall shall come crumbling down. We have to do our job in order for God's fulfillment of our blessing. And I sat down and I thought about it and I said, Lord, that makes sense to me. We have to act like that we have faith in what God is saying, what God is saying. We have to act like we trust God in what He stated. Nothing can be fulfilled if we don't have the faith to do it. Let's just say, for instance, you have a job interview. You pumped yourself, you prepped yourself, you did everything that you possibly could to get yourself ready for this interview. The day of the interview come and you call and said you won't make it because fear has set in. Fear that you were not going to get the job. Now you have the qualifications, you have what they're looking for. You just graduated from college. This is a great opportunity. But fear set in and you called off the interview. You will never know if God will see that blessing through if you don't use your faith and proceed with whatever it is that you're scared of. Now let's just say that the person did go to the interview. Because of their act of faith, God is seeing through him that he will make a way for them to be blessed. Now, how God chooses to bless us, that's His business. Our main concern should be to have the faith to believe that it will be. If God came down from His throne of grace and mercy, and He was to take a stroll through the streets of our cities right now today, and He asked, will you follow me? Most people probably run away from it because, number one, His glory is too profound. I mean, if He came in His full excellence. But what happens is wherever He is, the other areas around the world would not have His attention because He will be in one place at one time. But because of His omnipotence, He is infinite. He is everywhere at once. Anytime a person seeks God's face for something and He tells you to do something else, don't question Him, don't doubt Him, don't hee-haw around or act like you didn't hear Him. You know how sometimes some of our kids get where you tell them, I need for you to clean up the room, and they'll play like they were crazy, that they didn't hear anything that you said, and they don't want to clean their room. They want to do what they want to do. But they won't clean their room. They won't do the dishes. They won't vacuum the rug. They won't mop the floor. They won't do anything when it's something that they want. They want you to move quickly, expediently. If we learn to take the mentality of God and say, well, I've asked you all week to clean your room, wash the dishes, take out the trash, mop the floor, vacuum, take your laundry to the laundry room, clean your bathroom. I've asked you all week to do these things, but you're expecting me to drop whatever I'm doing to take you to the movies? I think not. If we start treating our kids like God treat us, they will get the message loud and clear. We can go to God all the time and ask Him for something. But God said, okay, I can give it to you, but I'm not just going to give it to you. You got to work for it. Show me that you believe in me to have it. I know your limitations. I know where you fall short. I understand that you won't be able to do all these things, but show me what you got. Show me what you're willing to do to have what you're seeking. It's almost like a person saying, I want to be a veterinarian. I want to be a veterinarian. I want to work with animals. I want to work in the marines, the marine life, where we work with exotic creatures, dolphins and orcas and different things of that nature. What do you have to do first to even understand how those creatures somewhat work? You got to go to school. You have to get an education. You have to know when to recognize when a creature is sick, when a creature is dying, when they're well, when they're healthy. You're not going to give a well creature medicine to get well if they're already well. You got to be able to recognize what's acceptable and what's not. You have to go to school for it. In other words, you have to work to get to that level. It is the hardest thing in the world today. Everybody wants things to come to them, to us, on a silver platter. Everyone wants it to be easy, but it's not supposed to be. We look at the outcome of some of our athletes and movie stars and our entertainment as far as music is concerned. We look at the after effect. But we're not looking at the beginning. Now I understand some had some really, really horrific beginnings. Very horrific. But then there are some that came from pretty decent families too. Nevertheless, to be where they are today, they had to work somewhere. They had to have a starting point. If we look at one of my favorite athletes, Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal didn't just come out of the womb and say, okay, let's go to the NBA. No, he had to work. Now, his mother probably saw in him, oh, he's going to be a basketball player. He won't stop growing. Every day I go to bed, every night I go to bed, every morning I wake up, he's taller than he was yesterday. So it was inevitable that he was going to be a basketball player. No doubt about it. But I'm sure that if I were to sit down with him and ask him of the very beginning of that process, he had to work to get where he is today. And now things come to him just effortlessly. It's like he had to put in the time. If Michael Jordan, another one, if we were to sit down and just have a heart to heart, I'm not wanting to know all the business, all of this and all of that. No, I just want to understand the beginning. What kind of work did you have to put in? Did it happen all of a sudden? When you have a knack, when you found that niche, it's going to move smoothly, but you still got to work. What I'm saying is God is no different when it comes to his children, whether it's the children of Israel or his children of today of the Gentile Samaritan lives. We all still have to work. Jesus didn't even get a break. He worked. He was taking the ministry. He was taking the word of God out to the people. He was healing people. He was praying for people. He was teaching them. He was showing them how to utilize their faith. It was all kind of things that Jesus was doing. Nevertheless, he still had to work. He couldn't lay around and just do nothing. He couldn't. He could not lay around and just put in no effort to do anything at all in his journey. Imagine if he said, "Oh, okay, Father, I spend 40 days and 40 nights in prayer. I'm done." Laboring in prayer is a job. But what he put in and what he got out of it, the more work he put in, the more God blessed it. You look at Job. Job suffered. He went through. He complained. He whined. He cried. He suffered a lot. But God doubled his work because at some point in his life, he put in the time to do what he did to have the things that he had. But then Satan just came and took it away. And then he, placed these boils upon his skin. But he never did what Satan wanted him to do. And was cursing. He never cursed God. So when we think about the works that we put in to make sure that the kids have a roof over their heads, clothes on their back, shoes on their feet, food on the table, insurance to take care of them, books to go to school. When you think about all the work you put in, you are investing something. You will see your product when they make a success out of their lives. You will see your work. The more work you put in, the more of a blessing you get out. And God wants us to be the same way. We got to put our faith to work. Bible makes it clear, works without faith is dead, and faith without works is dead. So if we don't put any work to our faith, then there's no reward. And if we don't put any faith to our works, there's still no reward. There's a lose-lose situation. It's like a catch-22. Either way that you look at it. It's not a winning circumstance. It is important for us to work. We need to put in the time to get what we want. You go to job to get a paycheck. You go to school to get an education. You exercise to lose weight or to gain muscles. You study to show thyself approved. We have to put in the work. So if we're asking God for a house, don't you think that we need to start working towards that goal? Meaning that we need to say, okay, I need to cut back on fast foods. I need to cut back on going out all the time. I need to start working on these bills. I need to start cleaning up my credit so I can start working on getting me a home. You got to put in some work in order to achieve what you're wanting to do. And the only way to activate our faith is to move. The only way for a car to start, we got to press the ignition or turn the key to be able for it to start. In order for the car to move, we got to put it in gear. We have to put in the work. It's not going to be given to us. Just like it was promised that for them to have that land, they had to work to get it, obtain it, and divide it. That's what they had to do. But if you don't put in the work, you're not going to reap the benefits from it. It's like Joshua was telling them, the work is right, the land is right here. What you doing? It's right here. All you got to do is separate it and claim your territory. Now later on in the chapter, they were saying it's not big enough. And then Joshua told them, you need to go and clean up a little bit and gain some more land so it will be enough for all of you. In other words, you still got to work. You cannot get away from not putting in the time. The most important thing for us to know that whenever we ask God for something, He doesn't need our help, but He needs our initiative to drive. It's like, okay, I need a car to drive, but you're not making one available for me. In order for God to get us where we're going, we got to have the faith to go. Once you supply the car, God is getting behind the wheel. He takes us to the destination. He said, here you are. Here you go. It's like dropping you off at the mall. He's not going to go shopping for you. Now, you wanted to go to the mall, but He's not going to get out and go do the shopping for you. You got to get up and do your shopping for yourself. You got to do the work. Remember, nothing is just handed to us on a silver platter. At some point in somebody's life, someone had to work. This is Kim with Standing on Solid Ground. You have yourself a wonderful and blessed day.